I thank the chair and welcome Administrator Pruitt. My congressional district, Texas 22, may be the biggest one in America. Right now we have 850,000 people and growing quickly. The huge majority of these people wanted me to tell you, thank you, thank you, thank you for making EPA what it should have been, an agency in D.C. that works with local governments, local private sector to get cleaner air and cleaner water. Thank you for that. They're frustrated by the last 8 years. The administration used an EPA that became a combatant. It actually kept us from getting cleaner air and cleaner water. And they're thrilled to have you there. They got tired of things we can't achieve as human beings. Technology is not available, yet it's demanded. They are tired of arranging lawsuits to sue and settle. And that's all gone, so thank you for that. There are many frustrations back home. One example, the RFS. As you know, sir, I have had long and serious concerns with the RFS. I hope this committee will act to make this matter, to take care of this matter quickly. But in the meantime, until we act, guess what? You're on point, and you have a lot of leeway going forward. My question is, how have the concerns about the ethanol blend wall or even RIN prices affected your decisions about the 2018 targets?
Well, a couple things. Number one, I was very appreciative to the agency, the work that was done to meet the deadline. Historically, as you know, the November 30th deadline to publish those volume obligations has been missed, and it creates uncertainty. Yep. People don't know what's expected. It affects capital outlay, et cetera. And so it was very important to meet that November 30th deadline, and we did, in fact, do that. As we've looked at volume obligations with respect to conventional, cellulosic, bio-based diesel, the advanced categories, the focus is we've tried to focus our efforts on objective criteria, whether it's production levels and or demand. As an example, the most we've ever produced with cellulosic is about 180 to 190 million gallons domestically. Yet the volume obligations historically by the agencies have been set around 300 million or so. So when you set those levels artificially high, it creates other problems elsewhere. And so I think it's, in the administration of that statute, it's very important upon our agency to be as objective as possible at setting those volume obligations to reflect true production levels. You know, bio-based diesel, the capacity is about 2.6 billion, I've heard, but the production levels have now eclipsed 2.1 billion. We imported about 700 million gallons from Argentina last year to meet that level. So there are a lot of questions obviously around the administration of the RFS. Please know that we are committed to doing it pursuant to that statutory framework that you've established. But at the same time, that statutory framework is very challenging because the levels that have been set by statute have never been met, and so we've got a lot of challenge there.
And as you know, Senator Barrasso asked EPA to complete a long overdue study on the environmental impact of the RFS. And that's something that's required by the Clean Air Act. Any update on the progress of this study?
Yes, actually have been briefed on that within the last couple of weeks, and we have begun the process to provide that study to Congress. That is something that's statutory and something needs to be done.
Thank you. And also talk about Hurricane.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Hurricane Harvey,
yes,
sir.
Yes.
Hit my district hard. As you know, hit us twice, basically. Most expensive hurricane in American history. Talking with Dr. Brian Shaw, who heads up our Texas Council on Environmental Quality, he is quite pleased with the working together with EPA during that storm. You guys deployed all over the Gulf Coast, on the coast, inland, and got acting pretty quickly. One concern is having money to go forward, and one solution may be what's called the State Revolving Fund. Can that be used to address repairs in Texas? It's under your control, and will you do that?
Well, SRFs, as you know, have been used in a very good way to address infrastructure challenges at the state level, and I think it's something that Congress ought to consider. Again, I want to highlight something, though, with respect to Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma, and then what's going on in Puerto Rico. We embedded officials from the EPA with local towns and cities across Texas, Florida, as the storms approach, in order to have real-time decisions made on the threats that it posed to drinking water, Superfund sites, chemical facilities, and the rest. And it was truly an example of federalism in action between the state, local towns and cities, and the U.S. government working to address those issues. So I'm very, very thankful for the leadership of Region 6, which is in Dallas, and then obviously Region 4 as it relates to Florida. It was good work by their folks, employees, but also the folks at the state level.
And speaking for Dr. Shaw, he would say, great teamwork with EPA. Thank you, thank you. One final thank you. The San Jacinto waste pits.
Yes.
Harvey knocked them loose. All this benzene came out. You
Yes.
stepped up and said, we'll stop this forever. So thank you for
You know,
that.
I think it's important, Mr. Chairman, and this is an example. We've talked about the Superfund initiative at the agency. San Jacinto is a site in Houston, Texas, that's just off of I-10. It has dioxin in the water. It has dioxin that's been placed there and embedded for a number of years. And it's near a harbor, and barge traffic goes through. The agency has been working with folks at the state level and responsible parties for a number of years, and the solution has been to take a covering and put it over the site and then pile rocks on top of the site.
Yep, yep.
And it's been that way for 10 years. I was in Houston in mid-September and looked at the site, and it's totally unacceptable to have that type of temporary situation because of potential hurricanes coming through and displacing those rocks. So we provided a permanent solution there, about $115 million of costs that responsible parties are going to bear to provide a permanent and the citizens, a permanent solution. The citizens, I think, have been very pleased with the outcome.